Truth or Fake means Vedika Patel here in the studio. Great to see you, Vedika, as always. Let's stay with the G7, hosted here in France, of course, at Évian-les-Bains. Social media users are claiming that the French President, Emmanuel Macron, snubbed no less, Donald Trump by not being there to greet him when he landed in Europe. Tell us the story, Vedika.
Well, Mark, this is Emmanuel Macron's last G7 summit before he leaves office next year. And as we've been covering here on France 24, high on the agenda for this three-day affair is the conflict in the Middle East, Russia's war in Ukraine, Chinese competition, amongst other things. But yes, US President Donald Trump arrived Tuesday in the spa town of Évian-les-Bains. And this is fair to say that all eyes have been on his interactions at this summit, considering that he has spent the last several months insulting many of his G7 counterparts online. Now, with that in mind, internet users took to social media to claim that the French president purposefully snubbed Donald Trump by not being there to welcome him upon his arrival. Users said that Macron welcomed many heads of states himself, but sent a protocol official to welcome Trump. Now, others said that Trump was humiliated in France and that he was so annoyed at not being met personally by Macron that he didn't even want to look at him during the official handshake. Now, many users on X specifically shared a 15-second montage to illustrate these claims. It shows Trump disembarking the plane where he was greeted by an official. It then cuts to Trump and Macron shaking hands at their official meeting. And much of the commentary around this official handshake centered on Trump, centered on the fact that Trump was not met by Emmanuel Macron directly upon arriving off the plane. But that's definitely what we're looking at online, at least. Those are the claims.
I must admit, the handshake does look a bit bizarre, doesn't it, Vedika, if you look at it objectively. In reality, though, Vedika, the video of Trump disembarking, getting off that aircraft, it wasn't in France, was it? So you wouldn't expect the French president to be there.
No, Mark, it wasn't in France. It's true that Macron wasn't there to greet Trump at the airport, but there is a much simpler reason for this. Trump actually did not fly directly to the G7 summit in Évian-les-Bains. He actually flew from the US to Geneva, Geneva Airport in Switzerland, and then he went by helicopter to Évian-les-Bains, which is very much in France. Now, when Trump disembarked the aircraft, he was met by Guy Parmelin, who was the president of the Swiss Confederation, and that's who we saw in that viral video that is being shared online. And this is pretty much standard protocol for an event like this, considering that Trump arrived very much in Switzerland and not in France. Now, according to the official Swiss Confederation website, it's the responsibility of the Federal Department of Foreign Affairs to handle visits by heads of states and government representatives from abroad in conjunction with the president. So on the Swiss side, everything was followed according to the protocol, and therefore those claims that we saw that Macron sent a protocol official to welcome Trump instead of going himself, that is not correct, because it wouldn't be Emmanuel Macron's airport to greet Donald Trump at. However, Macron did send his head of protocol, Frédéric Billet, to greet Donald Trump on the French side of things when he arrived in France at Évian-les-Bains, and that's after Trump arrived by helicopter and then by armoured vehicle to the actual G7 red carpet at the summit.
Indeed. What's bigger, the G7 or Trump? I suppose that's one of the central issues we could argue in a different context. Was Macron supposed then, this is the question, was he supposed to greet Trump in person, as some social media users are claiming?
Well, according to Politico, Macron was planned to welcome Trump personally on the red carpet, but reportedly he was tied up in a bilateral meeting with Brazil's president, Lula da Silva. However, that doesn't necessarily mean, of course, that it was a snub against US President Donald Trump. Now, regarding that handshake, yes, it may not have been as warm as previous handshakes that we have seen between the pair, but of course we don't know for sure about what Donald Trump was feeling upon his arrival to the summit. Reportedly, he told journalists and reporters on the red carpet that everything is very nice, thank you. So yes, Macron was reportedly due to greet Trump on the red carpet at the G7 summit in Évian-les-Bains, but we can't assume that Trump just didn't smile in the handshake because Macron didn't arrive in person to greet him. So I think that's what we know as of now, Mark.